the president of the Virginia State Conference, Reverend J. Rayfield Vines, and he's my political action chair for Henrico. Reverend Vines.
Hello, everybody. We are one. Let me remind you that this is the 43rd year today that Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated from trying to help the sanitation workers down in Memphis. So one of the things that we're doing is commemorating his dynamic contribution. Most of us would not give our lives to anybody else. Hello, somebody. So we are very, very grateful for him putting himself on the line. And most folk would say sanitation workers. We would write that off as not being real relevant. But I'm very grateful that he had the common sense and the good sense to know that all people have value. And until we get to the place that all people have value, we're going to still experience segregation. We're going to still experience second-class citizenship. So one of the things that we have to do as a people is really get into the fact that each one of us has value. This Solidarity Day here is the NAACP coming together with the local unions, with other coalition groups, and we found that you can't do it by yourself. We tried that and it doesn't work. Politicians understand numbers. So the more folk we get, the better they understand. And I told the news reporter this morning, he said, well, how do you know that they're listening? I said, I hope they are listening to us. If they don't hear us speak, they will hear us vote in the ballot box. So one way or the other, they're going to listen. I just want to say that when we join with the other groups, there is a concerted effort. There are activities that are trying to block labor rights, civil rights, voting rights, economic rights, women's rights, and also leaving our children behind. If we don't band together, then our country is going to go to hell in a handbasket if we don't get out of this two-party or three-party system. We've got to act on things that are just for the people. And so somewhere down the line, I'm encouraging that we put this bipartisan stuff aside and understand that people are hurting, people need jobs, people need to make decisions about their jobs. I am for negotiate and not dictate. Somebody ought to say amen.
Amen.
And what we're moving toward is dictatorship when we ought to have people negotiate. I thank you for being here. I was here this morning. I'm here this afternoon. It's 6 yet, and I got to go to a radio show after this. But I want to say to us is that I'm looking at the people who are going to make a difference. You must be the change that you see. I'm going to say that again. You must be the change that you see. And guess what? You're the one you've been waiting for.
Good evening. Glad to be here, and I'm just here in support of the redistricting. And I'm hoping I just ditto to everything that Reverend Vines has said. So if you need my support, you have 100%. You need a fighter. I'm here to fight for you. May God bless you and continue to just keep up the good work.
Lord, the 92nd District, will you come forward?
Big one.
Once again, I just want to welcome everyone and just bring you greetings from the Virginia General Assembly and the House of Delegates. You know, it's an honor to serve there in the House of Delegates, but I have the most honor in saying that I'm a card-carrying union. And I am so honored also to serve on the Executive Council of the Virginia AFL-CIO. And it's for both of those organizations I'd like to speak to you today. You know, we are commemorating the 43rd anniversary of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. And this day is a day that many of us will never, ever forget. But how many of us really remember why Dr. King was in Memphis anyway on that day? You see, 2 months ahead of time, before Dr. King was killed, on February the 1st of that year, 2 black sanitation workers were crushed and killed in a garbage truck accident as they tried to escape some torrential rain. You see, at that time, their white counterparts could escape the rain by going inside, but not the black sanitation workers. So they sat on the edge of a garbage truck to get away from that rain, and they were just crushed. Can you imagine just being crushed to death? And when Dr. King heard of this injustice, he canceled a trip to Africa to join those sanitation workers in their fight for fairness and for justice in their workplace. And that, he believed, could only come from a collective bargaining agreement. So on April the 3rd, just one day or 24 hours before his assassination, Dr. King was speaking against those who would deny workers that fairness and justice on their jobs. And this is when Dr. King delivered his "I've been to the mountaintop" address, where he recognized that we've got some difficult days ahead, as we still do. And he said that it did not matter to him now because he had been to that mountaintop. And he said, "I don't mind." And I'm going to quote him. "Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned with that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go to the mountain. And I've looked over. And I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you. But tonight, we as a people will get to the promised land. And I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord." So in some of his last breaths, Dr. King was fighting on behalf of organized labor because he believed passionately in economic justice and fairness and honest pay for honest work. Even the scripture says clearly that a laborer is due his wages. And these are the kind of values that we are raising our children with. And now these values are under attack by those who think that the rights of workers are to be subordinate to profit margins and political attacks. Today, we stand as one. We, organized labor. There's also the Virginia AFL-CIO. You also have the NAACP, the faith community, all of us together across this Commonwealth and across this nation. We are all joining together in prayer, in vigils, in marches, just to say that we are one. And we stand in solidarity with Dr. King for all who believe in fairness and justice in the workplace. I thank you so much, and I'm so honored to be here with you today. Will you give us a reading? We're in your city.
Good evening. It's so good to have so many joined together today, representing all that we're representing today, standing as we are one. For a moment before I was called, I didn't realize I was going to be called. I was just thinking about we are one. And what does that mean? And just from a biblical perspective, and somewhere in the scripture we talked about we are all members of one body. The leg can't say to the foot to go in one direction, the hands can't say to go in another direction, the head can't say to the eyes to do one thing. We are one, and one, even though we're many members, we are one body. And we must work together as a team to accomplish the tasks that are before us. As we celebrate Dr. King's assassination or commemorate that, let us also be mindful of his dream. And his dream was that we all will walk together, the sisters and brothers in the world. We are so far away from that. And what must we do to get there? And not so much for us, or sometimes I look at us as, older adults, including myself. You know, we've already been contaminated by the world. But my concern really is for the generations that come. I am determined that we must all make it a better world, a better place for our younger, for generations that will come. And that we hope, thank you so much, and that we hope that what we're doing, that they will find that we are leaving them a much better world than we found in the world that we live in. And that's the only way we can accomplish that is for us to work together. So again, thank you to the organizers for being here. You who have come from far and near. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence. And let us continue to strive for the excellence that we need in helping to change the dynamic politically, economically, and wherever we need to make a difference. Thank you so much.
I want to thank each of you for being here. Senator March is going to come and make remarks, and then I will make closing remarks. Senator March.
Good evening. Yes. I want to congratulate all of you who came out today. This is a wonderful thing. Most of you are alive.
Speaking to myself.
Most of you are alive and Dr. King successfully. I remember what I was doing. I was driving down Cherry Street. And the news came on the radio, I almost had an accident. Dr. King was responsible for us being here because we could not have had votes like that. Had not been for this march from Washington. So Dr. King, major factor in our lives, and I'm glad to participate in the celebration of the anniversary of his death. The Voting Rights Act was filed with years. It says that any law has to be pre-cleared by the Department of Justice. That includes redistricting. So we are here today, tomorrow, the next few days, redistricting the state by Senate districts, House districts, and congressional districts. That redistricting has to be approved by the Justice Department. And one of the things they're going to look at is, does this dilute the African American vote? Does it dilute your opportunity not necessarily to elect a black, but to elect a person of your choice? That's why we're here. And your presence here will send a message to those senators and delegates who will vote on this plan that you want the second charge in African American district. The numbers show that we can create 2 districts, at least 50% minority. The Black Caucus, all 18 of us voted unanimously to support such a plan. Good work. And by your presence here today, you are showing your support for the 2 African American district plan. And most of us here voted NACP our election. I wouldn't be here had not been for the NACP. I think all 18 of us could probably say the same thing. But it's fitting and proper that we be here and that we send our voice to those who make the decision. I'd like to call on my chaplain, Amy Lockwood. She might want to introduce some people who are ready to live with us.
Thank you. Yes, it's me.
Great baby.
I just want to add on to one of the points that Henry made, and that was that the need for the second minority district. Currently, there are 11 members of the Virginia House of Representatives delegation. 10 are white, 1 is African American. That represents 10% of those representing us in the U.S. Congress. The African American population in Virginia is 20%. So I do believe that we are underrepresented in the U.S. Congress. And the second district would at least go some ways to rectifying that problem. But I'm here because I want to come back again so that I can recognize those members of the Legislative Black Caucus who are here today. You already met Senator Marsh, who's representing Richmond and other areas. Senator Louis Lucas from Portsmouth and all points west. Delegate Major Bacot from Newport News. Everybody's locality. Delegate
Mrs. Hamer was one of those people who came to the civil rights movement late. She was 46 years old. And could have, as she said, could have just spent out her life doing what she was doing. But she chose to join the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in a voter registration drive. And someone asked her once, well, why do you do this? Why are you participating in this movement? And she said, it doesn't matter if you have a PhD, a DD, or no D, whether you went to Morehouse or no house. We're all in this together. And I would end with that, saying definitely we are one, and we're all in this together.
I would like to thank everybody that came today and made remarks. We have a announcement to make also. There is a program at Virginia Union. It's the 6th annual Doctors and Claire Spray Junior Lecture Series. And our own Rosalind Brock, our chair, is going to be there on Wednesday. And it's at 12 noon. 12 noon. And it's free. Okay, y'all understand that word. My closing remarks are, we need to work together for better education for children, starting with K, high school, and college. No place of education, we are one. Healthcare and preventive care for our families, our children, and our elderly. Jobs, jobs, jobs. Working families need a wage that can support their family and keep on their head, and that's food and medicine. From the mountains of Virginia to the valleys of Southwest Virginia, from the rural areas of Southside Virginia, from the seashores of Virginia, in Northern Virginia, in the urban areas, we have to realize we are one, and we need to vote, and we are just the beginning, we're just not here today. And we have a gentleman that's going to close with a white with a poem.
Thank you so much. I wrote this poem about 30 years ago, and I wrote it for me, but I felt that some other people might appreciate it. So here we go. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He was my brother, or didn't you know? There's such a loss he had to go. He spread the word and let it be known of how we are treated from when we are born. He walked among the homeless and poor and tried to destroy the discrimination law. For our civil rights, he risked his life and once was stabbed by an assailant knife. The house where he lived was bombed one night, but he continued to pray and refused to fight. At the march in Washington, many people heard a great dynamic and persuasive word. Dr. King boycotted the buses, and our people began to walk. This caused many people around the world to really talk. They spoke of how he challenged the law, and even proceeded when struck in the jaw.